Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. We're finally getting started on construction, and the first step is to lay out the footings on the ground so that we can start excavation. I'm working with the surveyor here to get the orientation right and get these things laid out so that we can start digging. To your left, more, right there.
That good?
Yeah. All right, you want me to just have it hooked, or you want to hold the foot, or?
Just put it right on it. That's it. Right there, 53.4.
All right.
I need to go there and set my backside, and then I'll add those 2 points.
If these footing trenches seem deep to you, it's because they are. Because of the type of house we're building, the engineers that did the design specified a 2,000 pound to the square foot load bearing capacity for the subsoil. After we had tests done, we did not meet that load bearing capacity. So the soils engineer that did the testing came back and said that we needed to do a 2-foot overdig, backfill with non-expansive clay, compacted to 95% compaction, and then put our footings on top of it. The normal footing depth in our area is about 12 to 16 inches because we don't have a problem with frost heave. The footings for this house are 16 inches in depth, they're 24 inches wide, and of course they've got rebar in them. So we're ending up with a really deep hole, and you're going to see that we made a mistake at this stage here coming up in just a little bit. this point, we think that the excavation for the footing, for the footprint of the house has been completed. So they're starting to backfill with clay and get ready to begin the compaction process so that we can schedule a compaction test where they're going to come out and do a nuclear density test on the work that's been done. This is our first soil compaction test using a nuclear density test to give us a percentage compaction on a modified Proctor scale. So what we're shooting for is at least 95% of what the soils lab has said is a 100% compaction of this type of material.
Okay, this one will pass without even doing the correction. It's going to get over 100% compaction. Okay. And that one over there got 93, not 94%. Baseline, 94. This one like a 102 probably. It's good. I'll do one on that other. I guess since we had some failures, I'll do one on that other side. Get you to run that stomper on that other one, and maybe we can get a retest.
All right.
If you want to.
You want me to? I'll hop on that sucker and start compacting it now while you're doing that other test.
Yeah, it's here that far away, it shouldn't hurt nothing.
Well,
yeah.
Or if you'd rather I wait, that's fine too.
No, it ought to be okay. I'll be far, as long as I'm like 20, 30 foot away, I think it'll be all right.
Well,
just don't let it vibrate in the machine.
It's 37 feet on the side.
You'd probably be all right. Go ahead and start if you want to, or I can come back later, whatever. It's up to you.
Well, every trip's $150.
I don't know. Luckily, I don't have to. It's probably quite a bit with the gas the way it is. But yeah, I'll just wait on you.
All right, soil test on the first lift going in the footings is good to go. We've passed compaction tests, so now it's time to get the next layer on there and compact that down. Okay, so the soils engineer, when we did the first round of compaction tests, determined that we are digging these footings incorrectly. Based on their soil analysis of the site, we thought that we were supposed to go 2 feet below the bottom of the footing, backfill and compact, and then we could put the footing on it. It's not just 2 feet below, it's also 2 feet to either side of the footprint of the footing. Reason being that when the load is transitioned to the soil underneath the footing, it doesn't go straight down, it goes more of a pyramid shape. So in order to carry the load that they've specified for this house, we've got to have a wider footprint of compacted soil underneath. So today our dirt contractor is back out here widening all of these footings so that we can put 3 times as much fill material in as we thought we were going to need. This was our second compactor from the equipment rental place here in town, and this was a brand new compactor. this thing had been run for about 8, maybe 10 hours, and I was looking at it and noticed that it was leaking oil out the bottom. Well, come to find out, the compaction foot on the bottom of it was coming loose and falling off of it. So I stopped this guy from compacting so I could grab some tools and put this thing back together. Centered in where it makes that turn is going to be the center of that 4x4 footing block. I'm kind of off. Yeah, about right there. But that's got one column going, or one beam going across to the west and one going to the north out there. You're probably getting good enough of years doing that. You can tell.
Yeah, sometimes you can kind of tell. It'll fool you sometimes, but yeah, you can use that kind of tell if it's. I'm thinking it's probably gonna be a good one. The way that.
Well, I tried to put a big flat rock right there. So. Yeah, it was funny. There was a lot more small gravel in this set of loads that they brought out than there was in that first batch.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good thing, really, for this test and for weight bearing capacity.
Yeah.
Less clay, just enough clay to bind that gravel together is a good fill material. Yeah, this Cartney pit is really, they've used it to build a lot of commercial, like the Walmart store sitting on it and lots of other big stores.
Yeah.
Compacted Cartney pit. Yeah, 96, I figured good enough.
Since we've passed our compaction test on the first layer of the backfill material on the new and improved widened trench, which kind of looks like a giant earthwork. Now what I've got to do is figure out where we are on backfill in relation to where we need to be at the bottom of the footing once all of the fill is in and everything's compacted. So what I'm going to do is take the laser level and go around and check locations to get an idea of how far off of the 12-inch backfill number per lift that we need to be, and then I'm going to start putting stuff in this hole and compacting it. All right, overall looks like we're within about 12 inches average over the footing that's there from where we need to be for the top of the next backfill layer before compaction. There's a few spots that are 8 to 10 inches, and there's a couple of spots that are getting up closer to 16 inches. My neighbor's coming over with his skid steer to help me get this thing backfilled. So what I'm going to start doing is watering everything down to help keep down the dust and wait on him to get here. Then we're going to start backfilling and compacting to get this next lift in. I decided to rake back the topsoil that had been falling into the trench before I started spraying water on it. What happens when this topsoil falls in, because it's so fine and silty, when you run over it with the compactor, it just throws up a crazy amount of dust. And it makes it a really unpleasant place to be, especially when you're covered in sweat, because you end up with mud all over you. As we're backfilling, I'm using the laser level to check and try to make sure that we're getting as close to a 12-inch lift put back in the trench as possible. The ideal depth of the lift should be about 12 inches. Unfortunately, that ends up giving us about 6 inches of compacting depth. So this process ends up taking quite a bit longer than we were initially expecting. The reason that my neighbor and I are out here doing this, and my wife at various points, is that my contractor went on vacation. So in order to keep this moving along, we just started going ahead and backfilling and compacting to keep making progress. I'm using a wheelbarrow to fill this center section because I don't trust my old backhoe to try to get across that trench. The controls are 4-stick controls instead of joystick, and it's just as apt to blow a hydraulic line or a cylinder as I'm out there suspended in midair as not. And I don't trust my skill set enough to do that. I'd really rather just use this wheelbarrow, throw that clay out, and not have to worry about ending up on my head with backhoe on top of me. So what we're doing now, we're getting close to final elevation for the bottom of the footing so that we can now come in and form and pour the footing. So what I'm doing is going around the inside of this footing trench and putting a line on here using the laser level to get us to the final elevation so we know how much more fill we need to put in. We've already put in 10 truckloads of this gravelly clay. It's been compacted to 95% compaction. It's been tested with nuclear density compaction tests, so we know that the compaction is good. We were expecting to lose about 30% on compaction, and what we actually seem to be losing is 50% or more to hit that 95% number. So I've driven pins in, and I'm about to stretch this string out, and then I'll check it in the middle because, you know, it's not perfectly smooth on this wall. It's going to hit high points and hang up. And once I get it close enough, I'm going to go ahead and paint this line. Even though this looks like we're right at the line right here, we're not, because this has got to be compacted more, and we're going to end up probably a good 3 inches below this line when this lift is backfilled. All right, close enough. We're trying to get that string within a laser beam width, and then we're painting it with spray paint, which is going to be 2 inches wide. Once we get it within tolerance on this line, then we'll start using the laser level and checking it to get it to final elevation. Well, that little thunder shower we just got, first rain we've had in, well, over a month now, wasn't enough to really help the garden or the pasture or anything else, but it was enough to make this clay too wet to work. When the moisture level in this clay is at its optimal point, which is about 13 to 15%, it normally takes about 5 times going over each section of clay with this compactor to reach the desired compaction level. Normally you can tell that it's at the right compaction level by the way that the vibration feels under your feet, the way the compactor is reacting, how much rebound you're getting, and how it sounds, because there's a ring to the impact of the compactor that you can hear and feel in it when you know you're getting close to the right compaction level.
101.3% crop. Good.
I'll take it.
It's real good. That water probably helped it.
It was a little
See
aggravating.
what the moisture is. 13.3 is like optimum. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like perfect moisture.
Thanks for watching, and y'all have a good day.